The mainstream media would never tell you this, but the news media, well, they are amiss. ABC News, CBS News, at a time when they should be red hot, they're not. And Joe Rogan is riding in to fill the slot. It turns out that the old legacy dinosaur news media is making way for a new king. A new type of media is winning, starting now. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we, as ever, endeavor to tell the truth, explain entertainment, and keep you ahead of the culture curve. Today, we're talking about Joe Rogan because it matters. It actually has a huge impact on everything entertainment, and this is a video you simply cannot miss. As we get ready to dive in, click the like button, and folks, we begin with Fox News. And it's just a brief reminder, we will not stay here for long at all. ABC's David Muir sees newscast ratings decline after controversial debate performance. Folks, they won't tell you that ABC News, that everything they've done to try to bolster it, that it has not, that it is belly up. They won't tell you that CBS News is in the same slot. 12% drop in viewers in October before an election? What in the world could be going on? Well, folks, now the politicians are going where the viewership is. It is time for the new media to take over, and that is exactly what is happening. Nobody's paying attention to ABC or CBS because nobody believes them anymore. They believe in Joe Rogan. Well, on everything except UFOs. I kid. Maybe you think he's right about UFOs. I make no position on that one. This is by Jeff Mason. It's out of Independent. Kamala Harris set to make surprise appearance on Joe Rogan podcast. It comes as Trump suggested he will also appear on the podcast. Are you hearing this? Donald Trump says he's going to be on Joe Rogan. We don't know that for sure yet, but Kamala Harris then has to put that out too, because Joe Rogan is a king maker or a queen maker at this time. And why is that? Well, we'll explain in a moment, but just know that the old dinosaurs, the fogies, that's right, Disney, that's right, ABC, that's right, CBS, all of you, we're calling you fogies. Rogan represents the new. And by the way, you're listening right here to the new, to the YouTubes, to the podcasters. Well, everything's going right in that sphere, and everything is going wrong with a news media that has completely lost the ear of audiences. Here's the article. Kamala Harris is set to appear on the Joe Rogan podcast in an apparent bid to attract younger male voters. Folks, this is very risky. And I don't normally put myself in a political position, and I'm not trying to do so. I simply would say to you that this represents to me, likely the Harris campaign thinks they are losing, because it is extremely risky to put Harris with Rogan for 2 or 3 hours. And by the way, we have heard that there was a request to go ahead and get the questions before the appearance by the Harris campaign. Can't confirm this, but I've heard this. And that Rogan said, this isn't an interview, it's a conversation. Shutting down the opportunity to know what it is they're going to talk about. Harris on her own for a 2-hour long format, no stops conversation with Joe Rogan. That's dangerous. And it indicates to me that perhaps they think they are losing. The presidential hopeful could sit down for an interview with the popular podcaster whose audience leans heavily towards young men as she works to shore up support with male voters, sources said on Monday. Rogan, who runs the most powerful podcast in the United States. Stop. It's not just the most powerful podcast, although that's true. We're going to show you it's the most powerful source of news right now. And that's why they're acting like it. They're not talking about debates. They're not talking about, I got to get on there with David Muir again and Lindsay Davis on ABC. They're not talking about that, right? The view doesn't matter. It's about Joe Rogan. In March, Spotify said the Joe Rogan Experience had 14.5 million followers, almost triple the platform's second most popular program. He also has over 19 million followers on Instagram and 17 million followers on YouTube. And we'll get in just a moment, folks. We're going to show you the unbelievable numbers that the Joe Rogan Experience pulls. These don't even begin to show you how important this is. Harris campaign officials in the final stretch of the U.S. presidential campaign met with Rogan's team this week, but an appearance has not been confirmed yet, said 2 of the sources who have knowledge of the matter. And she may not do this because it's so risky, but it sounds very much like the Trump appearance is going to happen. And we'll show you what that means in just a moment and why that has sent the Harris campaign really trying to do whatever they can to get into this show, if at all possible. But there is, as I said, major risk to it. The appearance could offer a shot in the arm for Harris and Trump, as polls show an incredibly tight race between the two candidates that is expected to come down to the results in 7 swing states. A poll by YouGov last year found that 81% of Rogan's listeners are male and 56% are under 35 years old, feeding the perception that he has a direct line to a cohort that polling suggests tends to support Trump over Harris. But remember, Harris was not aiming for the Joe Rogan Experience until Trump came out and said that he was going to do the podcast. Now, PBD, the podcast that covers this sort of thing, they say they think it's a 99% chance at this point that Trump appears on Rogan. We'll get to why this all matters in entertainment in just a moment. I do want to take you, though, to the JRE library, Joe Rogan Experience library, to show you why this all matters so much and why the dinosaur media is on the way out. We're talking about ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, even CNN, and we can't say it about Fox News yet because they're dominating cable ratings. They literally own 7 of the top 10 cable news shows. So I can't say that about them, but the traditional legacy media is on the way out. Here are the stats that we have so that you can understand why people are absolutely flocking to if this should happen, and why it matters so much that Joe Rogan exists as a kingmaker, and perhaps the new media exists as kingmakers. And maybe people will say that Kamala Harris should have been appearing on big time podcasts instead of some of the smaller stuff she's done. Let's skip through the number of episodes and all that. That's really not all that important. We don't need the guest. Here's what we need. Going down to guest appearances, you can see some of the top ones that have been had. But this is what we want. Most watched Joe Rogan Experience episodes. And I want you to understand, there's 2 things that are going to happen with this. If Trump appears and if Harris appears, then the viewership of those 2 episodes are going to be compared, and rightly so. And that's going to be used as a barometer for who is more of interest at the moment. And that's going to be also given some weight when it comes to the election results. And do they match up with how many people watched the Joe Rogan Experience episodes? You can be guaranteed that both of these candidates will appear in the top 10. And so what does that mean? Well, let's talk about it. Elon Musk, you see, pulled in 69 million views on the Joe Rogan Experience. Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell, 60 million. Edward Snowden, 38 million. Neil deGrasse Tyson, 38 million. Jordan Peterson, 36 million. Another appearance later by Elon Musk, 34 million. Folks, those are the big winners when it comes to the Joe Rogan Experience. What do we think that Trump and Harris might pull? Well, one of those candidates is likely to break the 100 million mark. Flat out. There's just no way around it. One of those candidates is going to be the #1 Joe Rogan Experience for viewership. And when you're talking about the potential to get 70, 80, 90, 100 million views, you're bigger than the debates. Flat out. In fact, take a look at this. The top 10 most watched episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast on YouTube account for over 400 million views. Again, that's on YouTube. He's on Spotify. We're talking about what YouTube gets later, 400 million views. Elon Musk's first guest appearance from 2018 is the most watched Joe Rogan Experience episode ever. Wowza. Wowza, wowza. In fact, Elon Musk has had more than 100 million views via Joe Rogan. Via Joe Rogan. And what is it? What is it that's driving all this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's the long format, normal conversation. It's the inability of the guest to filibuster and avoid and bloviate and never answer the questions. Joe Rogan wants to have a conversation. He wants to find out what you really think. We will find out what we think about the 2 candidates if they appear there. And I would suggest that this, folks, this is why you're watching this video. I want you to understand this. I want you to take this away. If these 2 candidates appear separately on Joe Rogan, that will be more important for the electorate than the debates. The mishandled, what shall we say, manufactured system that we use that creates synthetic speech that nowhere replicates what real humans think or how they act or how they speak. This will be what we expect, a conversation, deep diving into what these candidates believe, how they want to act in the world, and there's no escaping in a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour conversation with Rogan. There's no escaping just telling what you actually believe, because you can only last so long before you have to say, all right, here's the deal. And that, folks, is a great deal for everyone voting in the upcoming election, because you'll finally get to hear long format, uninterrupted conversation. And that's why this is sending the legacy media spiraling, because they cannot keep up with this. There's no way. Bring on the new media. A dawn of a new era is upon us. And frankly, I'm very excited to see it. I hope both candidates will appear with Joe Rogan for 2 hours each. I think it would be wonderful. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And folks, try to keep it apolitical. Remember, not a political channel here. You'll notice I didn't tell you which candidate will do better. I did not tell you which candidate you should vote for. I didn't advocate. Why? It's not as if I don't have a political position, but it's because I know to stay in my lane. Because that's what we tell celebrities, and that's what you expect of me. And so I'm doing in public what I don't do privately. Privately, I have strong opinions. I'm happy to share them. But publicly, and via this brand, it is my job to tell you what impact this has on entertainment. The impact it has is it will empower places like Spotify and YouTube like you have never seen before. Frankly, I'm ready to shut the door on legacy media, which is utterly corrupt. Folks, until the next time we have the opportunity to spend time with you, adding value, we hope, to your day, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Okay, these colors just seem to conflict with your natural tone.
Wilton, what are you doing?
Obviously, we're getting Jose ready to throw his name in the hat to be the next CEO of Disney.
That's ridiculous. He's not qualified for that kind of role.
Well, of course he is. He's a wonderful candidate for a corporate puppet.
What on earth is happening?
He's literally a foreign agent by all accounts. You think honoring boundaries is a thing? No! This is Disney! He's got diversity points, green skin, and a wig. And most importantly, he likes to destroy things and blow them up, whether they're from the past or from now. He shows no discrimination.
Okay, you know what? I really can't argue with any of that. So,
right?
You two have fun. I'm gonna go read thatparkplace.com and watch WDW.
Okay, bye. Okay, Jose, say magical experiences.
I already hate this.